Hey guys, I'm Jasmine Perry and I study media at Canterbury College. When I was younger, for the whole of my growing up, I had a massive influence in photography and I absolutely adore photography now. Like, it's one of my biggest things I love to do in my spare time as a hobby or as part of my course. I just love it so much. When I was growing up, my mum and dad was studying photography as an evening course, so when I was growing up I had a lot of them practicing around me and obviously asking me if I could have my photo taken, and for memories and also for their purposes of them taking pictures for college, I guess. Like, I had photography around me all the time. I think that's where my passion started. I think when I had that growing up with it, I think that's when it started off as one of the biggest things. And when I left school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in college. I never really thought when I was younger what I wanted to do. Like, I was one of those kids where he'd say, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I'd turn around and go, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I have no idea. So I never really had an inspiration until I looked at a prospectus and thought, media, I'm going to do media. Like, media's been the best thing I've ever chosen to do in my life at this current point. Like, I've always wanted to make films or take photos or just basically learn more about the whole of media in itself. But photography is my biggest passion that is going. I am always taking photos of anything that I think looks good and just snap, take a picture. I love it so much.
This is a camera I remember because as a small child I could play with it because it didn't work. And naturally, being quite young, it was also the first camera I ever dismantled. And as it was my parents' camera before I played with it, this would have been the camera that was used to record most of my childhood in the 1970s. Photos in the 1970s were definitely less numerous than today, as people only really used their cameras on special occasions such as parties, holidays, birthdays or days out, as films and developing was so expensive. This was our family's first Polaroid camera, and at the time as a child I was amazed how the photograph came out instantly. This was a very popular camera in the late 70s and early 80s. I remember a lot of photographs at this time being Polaroids, with their thick white borders and muted colours. Usually the lower border would be used to write a date, place or caption. This camera was another family favourite and was so easy to use my parents allowed me to use it, so it was the first camera I used properly. It was convenient compared to the 35mm film cameras that were on the market at the time, because it used a smaller cartridge sport film that just slotted straight into the back of the camera. Most families in the early 1980s owned a similar camera. This camera was also innovative for its time because of its size. It could fit into anyone's pocket and was easy to take out on day trips and special occasions. This is another early 1980s camera, and the first I ever owned after my grandfather gave it to me. But most importantly, it was a camera that revolutionised the thinking behind the size of cameras at the time by using a disc film, which was a circular film that took up a lot less space. I don't know if they were more expensive than other available films, or if processing cost more, as I was too young to appreciate these details. But as a format, I do remember the disc format being short-lived. This camera and similar shaped cameras were all the rage in the mid-1980s, and although very plastic and rounded, They offered affordability and advancements such as red eye reduction. Most teenagers could afford one of these, so they were incredibly popular at the time. Some of these cameras reverted back to the 35mm format film, and this again brought the cost of film down by a small amount. Around this time, there seemed to be a lot of disposable single-use cameras on the market, a definite favourite for days out or school trips. In the early 1990s, the way that film was developed was radically revolutionised with the introduction of Advantix film. It was an amazing advance in photography, but it was very short-lived due to the birth of commercially affordable digital cameras. The camera had settings that allowed you to take panoramic-sized photographs and larger formats than previous films. It could also be returned to the camera to add more photographs to an existing film. This is my first ever digital camera. It was amazing at the time, even though it only captured in 640 by 480 pixels, because at last you could take as many pictures as you liked without the cost of developing film or worries like overexposure, film damage or storage. And also you could preview each photograph as you took it. It was relatively expensive in November 1998, costing me about £250. This digital camera also let you take short clips of video without needing a huge video camera. In October 2010, costing about £280, this Pentax was a brilliant camera. It could take dual exposure, allowing 3D photography, it had a zoom way before its time, and had features like time-lapse, and you could record much longer video than previous digital cameras. This was about the time when cameras started battling each other on the market for megapixel sizes and zoom length, including digital zoom. Although as a family we've had a couple of these, this was the first Sony Cybershot we owned, and it was great quality for a pocket-sized camera and very robust. So robust in fact that it withstood quite a bit of dropping, rainy British summers and children needing to have a go. The only reason I stopped using this camera is because it stopped recording sound in video mode. Otherwise, it would have gone on for many years after. Although my camera of choice has always been SLR in both 35mm film and digital SLR formats, these quick drawings have been concentrating on compact cameras and how they've evolved, and this last drawing definitely shows the amazing advancements in digital media, both photography and video. Because nowadays, as a convenient family camera, the smartphone is unsurpassed for size, quality, multiple applications and the ability to edit and countless post-production possibilities, which practically means you have a full editing suite in your pocket. Not to mention the ability to share these moments with family and worldwide instantly. I'm quite proud in a way to have seen photography evolve so much over 40 years.
So cameras have changed so much from when I was growing up to now. Now you can just take a picture on the smartphone and you can just have it instantly. The colours have changed in photography, so most albums that my nan would have would be mainly black and white and some colour, and my mum's photo albums would be some black and white but mainly colour, and my photo albums are either non-existent and on the internet, or if I did have a photo album there would be a fraction of an amount of coloured pictures because of how digital imaging has changed and how you can just take a picture and have it instantly, or you don't have to develop it in a solution, you can just go somewhere and on a memory stick and it's done. So that's changed a lot. Like the different ways of getting pictures has changed so much. There is so much history behind the whole of it, and I think that's amazing. I think that if you can have one thing and it can just change, that for me is probably the most poignant thing of photography that I enjoy, is how much it has changed. When I was growing up, I remember one of the main video cameras I had was it was silver and it had a big eyepiece. And I remember once, I think we went to a zoo, and I clearly remember looking through the eyepiece and taking a little video of it myself. Like, that was one of the main things I remember. And when I was in reception class back years ago, we had the same camera and it was used for my sports day. And that is also one of the main cameras I remember having in the family. That's one of the first ones I can remember. And for it to have changed so much is crazy, like so crazy. I have many social media and I'm always sharing my images that I take, whether people enjoy it or not. That is my passion and I do it. Like, I don't really care about anyone else. I do it because that's what I enjoy. And I think that's what most photographers do as well as the money aspect. They also do it for themselves. And coming from the kind of background of photography, I feel that is the most special thing that you can have, and that connection that you can have within that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!